I work in a hospital as a nurse. I had this patient, an elderly woman with dementia, and as people with dementia tend to do, she started talking nonsense or seeing drops of water coming from the ceiling that were never there. Her hallucinations became weirder and weirder each day. She stayed for 2 weeks, I think. Soon she started talking to a little man, as she called it, who was sitting in a corner of the room. Sometimes it was just a little man. Other times it was a small boy, or a puppet, sitting on the empty bed in the corner of the room, mocking her. Or others entering the room. Now, this is where it gets crazy. Every bed in every room is equipped with a button, or bell, that if pressed, the nurses would get an alert in the hallway monitor or office, that a patient wants something or needs help, etc. And you can always pin out what bed in what room pressed the bell. We had 3 beds in every room. Number 1 being the bed at the door, number 2 the bed in the middle, and number 3 the bed that stood a bit away in a corner of the room, with view out the window. Anyways, you get the idea. It happened before that there were faulty bells and the message for a patient ringing the bell appeared on our monitors, even though that room was empty. So we called a technician to take care of that if it happened a lot of times. Mostly we just took care of it as soon as we needed to, e.g. when a new patient came to that bed. But for starters, we just disconnected the LAN cable connecting the bed to the wall from the wall. And so it happened that the bed in the corner in the room of our patient with dementia started ringing like 4 to 5 times per shift. Even after we pulled the LAN plug, it still rang. As if there was a patient ringing for assistance on the same fucking bed that the patient with dementia saw a puppet, boy, little man, you name it. Sometimes she screamed at the non-existing puppet to shut up or stop that. Sometimes even begging for mercy or for it to stop staring at her. We never saw anything, of course. There was no puppet or whatever she saw there. But it was creepy as fuck being in that room and having to turn the bell off in that room just for it to ring again in the next 10 minutes. Anyways, the elderly woman became more and more active at night and could not sleep. One night we found her sitting in bed crying because the puppet wouldn't stop laughing at her. We eased her mood with a little nightlight and some music. This went on for a few days until one morning we found the elderly woman dead on the floor. Not in bed. She never left the bed. She couldn't even walk anymore. She was completely immobile. If she had to stand up or walk, walking or standing wasn't even a debatable option here. But she seemed to have dragged herself out of the bed, which concluded with her falling down, hitting her head on the floor, and dying. After that, we never had any problems with the bell in that room again. Not even once did the bell ring for no reason. The room was now empty, with fresh new beds for new patients to come, and no one was inside it who saw a puppet or anything else the patient described. That fucked me up ever since. This is the first time I share this story on the internet, but hey, seems like X is the right place. I once went to Salvador. Be me. Aunt lives in northern Salvador, near the border with Hestiers. Aunt invites me to baby shower. Okay. Get on airplane, arrive. Everyone is all dour looking. Walk to air terminal. Suddenly, crash! Look around at like 5 or 6 buildings collapsing like the WTCs. What the fuck? Cops walking around like nothing is happening. No one seems bothered. Should I help? .jpg. Decide not to get involved. Hail taxi. Take me to 123 Anonymous Street, please. Some Pakistani guy's driving. Doesn't speak, but hands me gibberish note. What the fuck is this supposed to mean? Just get in. I'll take you. He's one of the silent cabbies. Okay. Suddenly says, you see those buildings? Yeah. Bunch of babies died, I heard. Had them in bags. Explain. .jpg. Just says, you know, babies. Human babies. Keep asking him more. He's acting like it's normal to have a bunch of babies in bags. Looks at me in mirror like I'm a dumbass. Okay then. Drive for a while. He pulls into a gas station. I'm getting suspicious and I start wondering if this is like one of those fake taxi kidnappings like in Brazil. Looking for path of escape if I need to. Instead, the taxi driver literally just walks off. He just fucking gets out and walks into the reeds. What the fuck? Wait for him to return. He doesn't. I get out and walk over to a house near the gas station to ask what the fuck is going on. The door frame is painted with blood. I'm freaking out. Call up Aunt. I don't know what to tell you, Anon. Just take his taxi and drive to my house. It'll be fine. .jpg. Decide to do it because, what the hell? His keys are still in the taxi cab. Notice that there's blood on the dashboard. Okay. I need to leave. Now. Looking for some way to get back to the airport. I pick up some magazine that was on the cab floor. It's some truly bizarre communist literature. Like, it's more schizophrenic than anything I've ever read. It's just ranting about the proletariat and railing about Aryanism. At this point, I'm worried that I'm going to be murdered. Or something, so I call 911. So I hailed this taxi, and the guy abandoned me at some random gas station, and there's blood on his dashboard. Tells me to wait a while. 30 minutes later, some cop arrives. Weird gray uniform. He starts asking me some questions, and then nonchalantly inspects the blood in the vehicle. I ask him if he'll send an Uber, and he nods. And then he fucking leaves. I go into the gas station, and the Pakistani taxi driver is there, and he's like, "Hello, what do you want?" I call the cops again, and they arrive, and they go into the gas station while I get into an Uber. Different cop follows me to my aunt's house, and asks me some random questions about the guy. Meet aunt. Tell her I'm going to be leaving early, and book the earliest flight back. It's $600 fucking for a flight that leaves tomorrow. Fuck me. .jpg. Take the loss. I actually am worried at this point. Later. Sitting on guest bed. Look out the window. The sky is green. It's legit puke green. I actually walked out the door just to look. Run back in. Uncle Anon, look at the sky. Oh, Anon. That's not a bad color, you know. He hands me a novelty boomer shirt with "I survived Beeville," the state capital on it. Thanks? Spend the rest of the night having the most bizarre conversations. Later, he demands the shirt back for some reason. Start getting a headache. In the morning, Uncle drives me to the airport. Notice the collapsed buildings and ask him what the fuck is up with that. He just laughs and says, "Nope." Get on flight, go back home. Headaches end when I leave. Weirdest place I've ever been. A friend of my dad's would babysit me sometimes when I was little. Mom wasn't in the picture. And used to tell a story to me that scares the absolute shit out of me to this day. Dad's friend, I'll call him Bob, is driving a rig out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, Oregon. Has to make the delivery by the following morning, so he decides to just drive through the night. It's like 1 in the morning, no one else is out on the roads, hasn't seen another car in probably 100 miles. He's literally in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, the whole entire sky lights up. Instantly, like daylight. Bob fucking slams on the brakes, has no idea what the hell is going on. Everything stays lit up for a good solid 10 seconds. He can see everything. Whatever's happening, it's not lightning. It doesn't stop or flicker at all. Bob hunkers down, anticipating immediate nuclear devastation. Suddenly, sky goes dark again. No sound, no blast wave. He sits there in the middle of the road, waiting for almost 5 minutes, then decides to keep going. Figures it was a meteor or something. Goes about 2 miles up the road and sees a car with its flashers on, stopped in the middle of the road. Stops a good distance away from it. There's not enough room to go around it. Front end of the car is crumpled like it hit something. Bob figures they probably hit a deer that got spooked whenever the meteor went over and ran into the road. He gets out of the cab and goes to see if the driver's okay. Driver is sitting on the ground by the driver's side door, has his knees up and is resting his head on his arms. "Hey buddy, you okay?" Bob calls. He stops about 10 feet away for seemingly no reason. Something about the whole situation feels weird. Bob is one of those guys that always listens to his gut, so he stays put. "God, my head is killing me," the guy says, but he doesn't lift his head up, so it's muffled. "Did you hit a deer?" Bob asks. He's getting more and more uneasy. Something's wrong. But he still can't figure out what exactly it is. The guy says he thinks he might have hurt his head, asks Bob to please help him. Bob takes a step forward, but his instincts are going apeshit. He looks at everything again. That's when he notices it. The fucking car is all wrong. It looks like what someone thinks a car looks like. It has all the right pieces, but there's nothing extra, if that makes sense. Bob says it looked like a cheap Hot Wheels knockoff. It just looked wonky and wrong. He looks around at the back of the car and realizes that not only is there no license plate, there's not even a trunk. It's just one solid piece of material with taillights put in it. There's no manufacturer or model names. Bob knows cars, and this thing is nothing like he's ever seen before. From where he's standing, you can see there's no tailpipe or even hubcaps. It's just the shape of a car. He starts to back up, and the guy asks him for help again. Bob tells him he can't help him and that he'll call a tow truck when he gets to the next town. The guy lifts his head and looks at Bob, tells him he thinks he might have a concussion. Something is really, really wrong with the guy's face, but again, it takes a second for Bob to figure it out. The next part is exactly how Bob described it. Everything on the man's face was where it should have been, in their normal positions. He looked totally normal, except for the fact that his eyes and mouth were on upside down. Bob goes apeshit and sprints back to his rig, climbs in, locks the door just in time for the man to slam into the door behind him. How the fuck did he get there so fast? He knocks on the glass and smiles at Bob, but because his mouth is upside down, it looks like he's screaming. Tells Bob to open the door so he can come in. Bob fucking floors it. Doesn't care if he hits the guy or not. His truck easily pushes the car out of the way. Whatever it is, it's light, and it makes no sound when he hits it. Unfortunately, it's an anticlimactic ending. Bob got where he was going fine with no other problems. My dad knows the story, but I don't think he believes it. But Bob tells it to everyone he meets, so he obviously does. He's absolutely adamant about the guy being an alien. Years later, I heard about the Thatcher effect, and nearly had a fucking heart attack when I saw it. I showed one of the pictures to Bob, and he wouldn't even look at it. He says it's exactly what the guy looked like. Pick very much related. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy what you've heard, I'll be releasing new creepypasta green texts every Saturday from now until Halloween. Thanks again, and have a good day or night, wherever you may be.